Oh, for God's sake, hang on.
Hang on.
Just get it quick.
Okay, right.
Just don't move.
I'm not moving.
I'm not moving.
And the reason we're not going to move is, at this very point, there is some sunlight bouncing from that skylight onto the white surface and creating an 18-year-old's face. So if you want to know the tricks of the trade, how do these movie stars, these models, these influencers look so different to when you meet them in real life? It's because they've got a bit of bounce going on like this.
And they don't physically move.
Hang on, I'm still in the light.
Stay still.
Look at that.
Stay still. And it's reflecting off a badly cleaned surface. So it's matte. There's a matte bounce back.
Right, where can we go now to show them what I look like? Really?
Why don't I just cover the sun? There you go. There you go. You still look lovely. You always look lovely. Morning, everyone. If you're listening, listening on podcast, you may want to watch because it's stunning. What you're missing is stunning.
Lighting is everything. Like, I've got really severe, as my sister says, oh, that's grade 4, that needs surgery, cellulite.
Who said that of who?
Dina said that about my cellulite.
When did she say that?
Oh, God, years ago. She's all, there's nothing you do about that. That's grade 4, you need surgery.
Grade 4? Is there a grade 4 cellulite?
Well, at the time, I believed her. She believes it, but it's never referred to as stage 4. Grade 4 cellulite. And we did do you remember ages ago when we did that photo where you just turned the light? Yes. You took a photo of me from behind without the light, pure cellulite, then twisted the light like that. Absolutely smooth, perfect skin.
Yeah.
Instagram, this is reality.
Can I ask people, does anyone else think that, I don't know whether it's a slight shift or change in the lenses on our smartphones, but when you take an accidental selfie, they're worse than ever now.
We're just getting older.
Oh, of course, that's what it is.
That's what it is,
of course.
Right, so what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about Farage is here to destroy the Tories.
Absolutely brilliant.
James Corden, and in general celebrity. We'll also be talking about Kim Kardashian within that. And Nadia likes erotica.
No, Nadia likes RACY erotica.
So how come you put that in the title?
Because I thought it was funny.
Mark, we're going to get a load of weirdos now.
Yeah, me. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on this live. I'm here.
I did put up a separate video yesterday about Gaza, and I'm putting up a separate video today about Gaza, but we're not going to be talking about Gaza today on this Coffee Moaning. But please do check out yesterday's and share it if you can, because,
just on that note, though, there's never been a more important moment to not talk about Gaza. That's not us but we're in this kind of strange limbo, which I actually now am beginning to think, just briefly, is part of the strategy by Biden and all of the world leaders. Have you noticed how it's all gone everyone's sort of gone peace and everyone's gone pause, as no one's really kind of engaged, but they've also not completely disengaged. And in a weird way, something is working for them because everyone kind of doesn't know where to go with it.
That's what's really important, that influencers continue to try and influence people to stay engaged with it.
And also, I'd like to say, just on that topic, I don't know whether we're going to do a shared thing on Gaza later or not, but I also want to say it's always struck me as kind of bizarre that the numbers of dead in Gaza could in no way have ever accounted for the number of lives lost beneath the rubble. If any of at the moment, yet to be independently verified by any kind of organizations that are absolutely sort of definitive in this area without a sort of tilt or jaundiced or, prejudice, we're looking at numbers that could be reaching much more towards the 100,000 and above in terms of deaths.
Well, of course, that won't be including people that are dying now of starvation.
People dying now of starvation and also
disease.
Yeah, people who die tomorrow and in the coming weeks. So,
but anyway, that'll be a separate video. But I
want to talk about this guy. I really want to talk about this guy.
Mark wants to talk about the general erection.
Yes, it's general erection fever, guys. Anyone else getting general erection excitement? Be honest. Has any of it made you
No,
excited?
it really, really depresses me. The whole thing is depressing me because I have nobody to vote for. And at a time when I feel the most engaged
That's interesting.
politically, there's nowhere for me to go, nowhere for my voice to be heard, nowhere for anyone to speak for me. That's how I feel. There's no one I connect with or relate to.
But it's really interesting what you're saying. And I really want to what I'm going to do in this conversation about Farage, I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm not suggesting I'm supporting. I really want to talk honestly about how and why I think certain types of personalities in politics do well, and how certain kind of ideas and movements develop that are quite frightening.
It really frightens me that Farage is now coming forward, because I think there are far more people in this country that support Farage than we know about. A bit like Brexit. But I think they could actually topple the Tories.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think they're going to. So this is Nigel Farage has announced that not only is he running for election, I think it's his 8th time, but he's also now going to be leader of the Reform Party for the next 5 years, come what may. He's gone for that incredibly, sort of reform-safe seat for some reason, it seems like, or bastion of reformness, which is Clacton-on-Sea. No, the thing that you just said then, you feel politically homeless and yet you feel more politically engaged than ever. I think that's a really brilliant description of the difficulty that a lot of people find themselves in right now. So much is happening in the world, so much is happening here at home, so that we are all incredibly politically engaged. And I think the vast majority of people will simply vote Labour because they want change. And change.
Do they also want pledges?
Pledges, 6 pledges, things will get better, things will get longer, bad things won't happen, and I'll press the button and blow everyone up if I have to. All that kind of stuff. But I think the weird thing is what you just said, I think most of Farage's voters and supporters would say the same thing. They don't feel heard. They don't feel they have a political outlet. And I'm going to say something really contentious now. I listened to Farage talking to Nick Ferrari this morning. And just on that note, briefly, we talked a couple of weekends ago. The name Nigel has fallen off the list of new names or names that are given to people. Nigel is now extinct, apparently, as a name. Less than 3 people last year were registered with the name Nigel. As soon as you go beneath 3, the name it becomes obsolete. Oh. In that year, you might research, obviously. So at the moment, Nigel is out, but Nigel could be back in. But he was on the radio this morning, and I hate to say it, guys. I hate to say it. He has the gift of the gab. He's talking straight, not what we want to. He's not saying what I agree with, but he's talking in a personable, relatable to his people, to whoever kind of relates to it. And I think his relatability, unfortunately, stretches across political persuasions. He talks in a way that feels like a real person. He'll embrace contradiction. He has, unfortunately, humor. Now, I think he's more troubling and even more dangerous than Boris Johnson, because Boris Johnson was always a caricature. He caricatured himself. He was always a caricature, and he was inherently chaotic. I don't think Farage is, unfortunately, as chaotic as Johnson. I think he can caricature himself, and I don't think he caricatures himself as much as other people caricature Farage. And when I listened to him, I forced myself into thinking. Well, I didn't force myself into thinking. It was unfortunately, it was a breath of fresh air to hear anyone talking politically without the sense that they were being controlled by think tanks.
Right, let me just make this clear again. He doesn't agree with anything, just in case.
No, and my point is, we need someone like that on our political side, because Labour don't have any of them.
It's very, very dangerous.
We need someone who has that ability to talk.
When you've got somebody with what I consider extremely dangerous views, who is then the best communicator. He communicates with people. He plays very well. I'm the drinking man's man. Let's have a fag. Let's have a pint. Let's not forget he went to one of the most expensive posh private schools down the road. Actually,
none of it. Now I miss Corbyn. If you could take Corbyn's politics and place them in someone who had the ability to connect and communicate, I mean,
we would all have somewhere to go.
Totally. And this is my real fear, and this is why So look, for clarification, I disagree with everything Farage represents, But I thought,
We have to recognise what's going on.
He's got what everyone wants on all areas of politics at the moment. No one's got it. You go to a Green Party, it's boring. You go to the Labour Party, it's boring. You go to the Tories,
just grey, isn't it?
It's boring.
It's just one note of the same shit. Being not with the Greens, because I haven't really heard anything from the Greens, you know, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, the thing is about the Greens is anyone that's with the Green Party or wants to go to the Green Party for its greenness knows about its policies. They need to push what are their other what else are the Green Party about? And of course they don't get the platform, they don't get the interviews. Absolutely. So we have to go searching. But the greyness. And because we just fed the same shit in just a slightly different package, that's what's boring.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You don't feel like we're getting anything authentic or truthful.
Nothing authentic. And I have to say again, it is because they are workshopping, they are customer, they're doing PR jobs, they're doing surveys, what's it called when they put it to they're focus grouping everything. The Labour Party, this is a Labour Party stepping towards governance through the process of focus grouping everything, bar with the one exception of not really focus grouping or giving a fuck about the Muslim vote or really how their treatment or attitude to the Israel-Gaza crisis has in any way kind of actually completely neglected an enormous part of their grassroots.
Me too, Mel. Support. Love Andy Burnham.
Well, yeah, Reese, you just said you combined Corbyn politics with Burnham's delivery.
Yeah.
Stacey Randall, very sweetie. I'm going to be telling you off again later. But why do you disagree with everything Farage represents? He represents freedom for we the people. Come on, wake up, Neil P. Freedom from what, Neil? Freedom. Tell me what it's freedom from, and I'll engage. Lee Durrant. For me, they all say what they think people want to hear. What they pledge hardly ever comes through. Now, the thing about Farage is, I thought, my God, if I believe in the personality of what I was hearing, if I was feeling the refreshment and the liberation of hearing someone speak, though I didn't agree with what he was saying, I then thought, this is going to work wonders for his grassroots. This is going to work absolute wonders for those who, I guess, like whoever just asked me, he's going to free us all. I guess for you, this is just brilliant, isn't it? I mean, he must be a breath of fresh air to you, Neil P. He must be wondrous, a sort of a way out of this perception that we're somehow being controlled. And I mean, I thought Brexit had happened. I mean, so his big thing is going to be immigration. His big thing is getting it down to net zero immigration. He's very keen to stress that net zero immigration doesn't mean we don't get immigrants, but it means that every year 500,000 people leave this country, and he wants every year that amount is kind of equated with no more than 500,000 coming back in. But you know, even when he was pushed on a topic that he hadn't quite clarified because he'd just taken the leadership, I'm not promoting this. This is just this. We need to learn from this because this is what's needed elsewhere. Because although, what is needed elsewhere? Because once the Labour Party gets in, what will happen once again is Labour will become entrenched. Everyone will get furious with Labour, and like they did with Barack Obama, Trump came out of Obama. There will be more of a lurch to the right coming out of this next Labour government. And Farage knows this. Who else here thinks? I think this is the end of the Conservative Party. This election is the end of the Conservative Party. I think it's over. I genuinely think it's over. And I think I think candidacies need to be in within the next 2 days. I think we're going to see a whole heap of Tory MPs head over to Reform. That's my prediction. Do you think they're going to go?
I feel it.
You feel it? Do you feel it in your bones? What do you think, guys? Absolutely agree, Mark, says Lee Durrant. Shakira Al-Bad. Most politicians are extremely afraid of the media after seeing what happened to Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah, you're right. The media just hammers you and marginalises you and lies about you. Faith, I'm pleased Farage has sent the Tories into a spin. Don't support him, but I'm enjoying the chaos he's caused to Rishi. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. There's kind of vague satisfaction in the sort of, they've just been sort of, what's the word? Complacent. There's a complacency with the Tories. So anyway, I think we are watching. I think what we're going to see in this election, I think it's massive news. And the one final thing I'll say on this, because I can see I've lost the room here.
That's not true.
Oh no, because you seem depressed about it. Is it depression about Farage?
Of course, yeah.
He says he's the TikTok king. He has he understands the power of social media in a way that all of the mainstream parties don't. They just don't. They just don't get it. They don't respect it. They don't appreciate it. They don't see what it can do for them. But he does. And I hate to say it, I'm a celebrity. Kind of did that for him. Helped him with that. Helped him in that. The very thing that you were saying at the time, actually, which was, I think this is really dangerous that he's been given this platform to really, really humanize him, because, he's had a little bit like Trump with Trump's kind of trial. The whole I'm a celebrity thing has kind of normalized and humanized this guy for so many people. And I think if you dig into the absolute granular DNA of what makes or made the man Farage, it's deeply troubling. He's a deeply troubling character. He really is. So there we go. Election. There we go. We've done it. Okay, so let's talk about, just in case you're wondering who the hell Nigel Farage is, there he is, smoking a fag yesterday as he was doing the rounds. The only man to survive an airplane crash during an election.
And then go on and vote.
He's made of Teflon. His plane crashed. He got out and he voted. So yeah, there he is, just wandering around London yesterday.
The myth.
The man, the myth, the legend. Okay, so what do you think of this image? When you see this image of James Corden, this was the first thing I saw yesterday before this story has evolved. What do you think? What would you think when you first see that?
Well, because of everything we've been told about James Corden before, you think he's flipping out for no reason. He's having a diva fit at the airport.
Yeah.
But not true.
No.
I mean, this British Airways flight, my God, absolutely terrifying, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they were circling in the air for about 45 minutes, being told to gather whatever possessions that they could,
when they're told to
take
brace
their shoes off, when they make an escape, all of this. I mean, can you imagine? This was going into Lisbon, I think. Was it coming back from Lisbon?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, then they land and they were kept on the plane for 3 hours on the tarmac. We've had loads of things, not with British Airways, we've had loads of things
but
like
we
this.
also had this with a flight with Portugal, didn't we?
Do you remember when we came back from Portugal and we couldn't, that wasn't the airplane's fault. I don't know what that was. I think there was some sort of threat that day. We couldn't land on Gatwick. Then they sent us to Heathrow, and then we had to have the door open because of Heathrow, some rule or whatever, didn't we? And it was freezing cold. Remember, we sat there for like hours on that tarmac for no reason.
Yeah.
And then they flew us all to Gatwick.
Back
to Gatwick.
I think it was potholes.
And they said, there's potholes.
I think it was potholes on the runway.
Come on, that was a threat, I think. But
going to pop up a few more images that were taken.
And, as is the way, so he was attacked by TMZ and probably other newspapers and stuff, saying that he was having a tantrum, using these photos to make him look like he was being a right bastard.
A prima donna.
But then the other passengers have said, actually, he was great. We were stuck on the tarmac. He was going up and down. He was doing selfies with people. He was keeping people entertained. And actually, he was right. Why were they just put through the norm? Why did they then have to get off the plane and queue for security? That is deeply traumatic, being told to pack your things up and think that you are going to crash.
Yes.
And then just dumped off. I think it was awful.
Well, I think it's
good that he complained. We are so fucking worried about complaining in this country. As long as you're not screaming and swearing at somebody that's had nothing to do with it. I don't think you should scream and swear anyway when you're complaining.
Well, because of course this is the story that took hold yesterday was very much the one of, here's James Corden, is he at it again? After his fracas with the restaurant owner, was it Balthazar or somewhere like that in New York? He got banned. They had a falling out. But once again, with this, how sometimes I call in this is your media studies class. This is as a media studies class, this is important because this was what they call a photo-led story yesterday. And as a photo-led story, when you see this in the context of what's gone before, you are led to one conclusion. And that one conclusion is always, like Nadia says, he's kicking off again. But actually, it's not. And we have to question. My point about this story, which I think is really important, is don't ever accept the images or the stories that you're being thrown your way, because it's always red meat, even if it's not political. You just don't know what it is. Shermeen Gull.
Yes, I think this is a good point. Sometimes it is easier for celebrities to voice concerns than normal passenger. Now, that's wrong, because everybody should be equal, but we are in the world that we are in. We just are. So if you are somebody that is known to some people or many people or every bloody person on the planet, whatever way, you will get listened to in a different way, partly because that company will be worried that you have people that will listen to you, a platform where you can say, look, da. So I feel what he did, when you hear what he was like on the actual plane, was he then knew that, and he went and spoke up for himself and everybody.
Lisa Child, passengers were praising James. He was great on the plane, apparently. They had been told to prepare for an emergency landing in the airport. Initially, no BA staff. Now, look, we've been in many... Check out our vlog in... excuse me. Check out our Couple Does Berlin. Horrendous moment at the airport. Treatment was awful,
appalling.
Regardless of who you are.
We were all treated like criminals.
And I actually think sometimes it's more dangerous. I know people are saying it's all right, maybe it's easier for celebrities. I actually think it's a big gamble and a big risk, because, of course, those photographs are taken. You can see that he's not actually being, splenetic and vicious in the actual shots. But I think you run the risk. You run the risk of being misinterpreted.
Oh, why? I mean, everyone, there was babies on there. They weren't, they didn't have any food. You can get 3 shots that look like you're going batshit crazy at a person, when actually you could be pleading, you could be, speaking up for somebody else. I mean, do you remember when they wanted to take all our bags?
Yeah.
In Berlin.
Yeah.
And that horrible...
the horrible man.
Horrible man that was talking to all... He practically threatened everyone with arrest, didn't he, if they tried to hold their bags?
Haven't seen the way they've dealt with certain protests in Germany as well. I'm not at all surprised.
God. They are out. They are absolute bastards.
Just quickly, in breaking news, Dawny Harvey has revealed that she watched that potholes are really dangerous. Here we go. I've watched a program on the potholes. You do not want to hit one with a plane wheel. Yes, that's how exciting my life is. I think I know the documentary.
How were they suddenly there and then they suddenly weren't?
Yeah. So again, for me, this story is really important, because it would have, I think, lots of people, and this is where the media is so manipulative. People will have seen that story yesterday, and a little bit like when a paper makes an apology, they'll hit you with the headline stays with you, and the apology will land 3 weeks later on page 13. No one sees the apology or the correction or the clarification, and we're left with just a sense that Cordon's just a...
And the thing is, we're not really talking about this because of James Corden. James Corden doesn't need us to look after him. But it's just another example of how, how hate is spread more than anything else.
Yes.
Let's throw some red meat people. Let's all gnaw on this a bit. Oh, this person's being... They wouldn't go, wow, this was amazing. James Corden stood up for everybody and blah, 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 which is... to be honest, I'd prefer to read that.
That's a nicer story.
But
it's a nicer story, isn't it?
As they always say in showbiz and in media, if it bleeds, it leads. Yeah. And if, good news doesn't sell and all of this bollocks. And that just shows how toxic the world has become, I think.
And obviously, when we say the term newspapers, we're talking about online. Most of the papers are online now. We're talking about online news now, really. Okay, moving on. Nadia likes RACY Erotica. I just fancied writing that sentence.
Well,
do you?
The thing about this is a what would you call it? Company? What are they called?
Quinn. Yeah.
Yeah, they're called Quinn, and they have an app where you can listen to erotic books. Now, there's been a few of these around, but why this really caught my interest was they have got some very famous people reading the erotica. One being Andrew Scott, who we both love as an actor and has a beautiful voice. And we can't play the ad, can we, for Quinn?
No.
Because the ads are so swishy, aren't they? And you've
Cool.
got these beautiful actors. Jesse Williams is another one, who are describing their characters that they're playing in this very, very sexy voice. And I kept thinking, Mark went and had a look. He said, "Oh, they've only got 800." Where was it? What were you looked on?
On the App Store.
The App Store, they've only got 800.
I went to the loo to have a listen.
And he said, because I was like, this must cost a fortune. They've got this flashy ad. They've got these movie stars.
Must be new.
And then I decided that the reason these actors have done this, this is me. I said to Mark, "Oh God, maybe they've done them for free." And he was like, "Right, why would they do them for free?" I said, "Because maybe they want to be a part of turning away from the horrors of hardcore 24/7 visual porn. Maybe they want to be part of not a moment but a movement away from this." Quinn spokesperson,
not Quim.
Quinn says that these were actually, their target audience was women, but they have a split right down the middle of men and women, which again, this is a good news story for me, because I feel like, yes, people are wanting something more than just like the graphic images that porn sells us. And what I love about this is that apparently as many men are listening to it as women, because I had a conversation yet again with a group of women the other day. We were talking about there's this app, I think it's called Blur, where you just it's men and women, and you just say, "Oh yeah, I want sex," and they just meet up and they have sex, and then they go off, and that's it. And most of the women I was talking to say, "God, it just couldn't work for me like that. Not that I don't like sex, but I couldn't just go and just have sex with somebody I don't know, but there's no connection, there's no brain, there's no story, there's no nothing." And so this speaks to those.
Okay.
And, I would even suggest to people that they give these to their young adult children.
Wow.
Encourage them to listen to it.
So they're not explicit? Or are they?
Well, I haven't listened. I'm going to listen to one later, because we're going to do a podcast on it.
Yeah, Duncan Idaho, I really like your comment, which I'm probably going to resurrect for our How to Stay Married, which I've kept it up. The best porn leans into the story rather than the act. I think that makes me chuckle.
Beautiful.
Well, no, it's a really interesting detail, but also what's funny about that is I seem to remember, when I was younger and you kind of came across rag mags and a porn VHS, the story was always hugely important, and actually the story was the bit that as a young red-blooded boy I'd get really frustrated with. It's like, fucking hell, get rid of it. I don't want the story. But when you do remove the story, it's interesting how contextless and kind of soulless the whole kind of enterprise becomes. So the story is key, or is it key? And is that what you're saying, that actually now we've got to the point where it is just a functional act rather than it is a... No,
I think we've always been at that point, but I think that there's...
Quinn is the name of the app, Gloria.
I think for certain people...
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pop up some images whilst you're thinking about that. These are some other ones that are out there. You've got Touch Yourself For Me, Erotic Fantasy by Ginger St. Clair. Oh.
You've got Erotic Audio. Listen for free at audiodesires.com. Orgasmic, Erotic Stories for Women.
I'm just thinking.
A Pleasant Awakening.
No, you see, I don't want it to go too like that.
The Sexiest
Do you know what I mean?
Voice, Erotic Audio for Women.
I think this, go back to Andrew Scott. Why does this appeal to me? Because it's somebody famous and it's an act. Is it because we go back to there's always, for many people, there's a degree of shame to sex and enjoying sex or porn or whatever. And somehow somebody famous that is an actor somehow elevates it a bit. I don't know. I'm searching into why I was like, oh wow, this is good. I mean, I suppose because if somebody that wasn't very good was doing it, I wouldn't be transported.
Is it who it is, or is it the tone?
No,
Do you feel
I think
safe
it's the
because
tone.
It's Andrew Scott?
No, I think it's safe. I feel safe because it's Andrew Scott, because I know he's not been my problem with a lot of porn, a lot of things is abuse. How much do people want to be there? Do people really want to do it? Are they complicit in it?
Yes,
da.
yeah.
So I suppose I'm
yeah.
thinking, this is an actor. He really wants to do this.
Yeah. Okay, well, close your eyes. If I was to do it like this, and close your eyes, and I was to go, once again, it was another.
No, I want a Mr.
wonderful-
Clipping apple pie. I don't want anything
I'm just thinking if
else.
Nigel Farage could kind
Oh God!
of. Is it the? Are you buying into who it is rather than the voice?
I actually wouldn't be, because I'm not somebody that has ever. I have never conjured another person into my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always amazed when people say to me, "Oh God, I think of so and so," and I think,
Really?
do you
Really think of?
Do you actually?
What, in a literal sense? Do
Yeah,
people have literal
I'll
thinking?
think of Brad Pitt and stuff. I go,
What?
Exactly? Yeah, lots of women say that.
But hang on a minute. Really?
So they'll close their eyes and pretend that whoever they're having sex with is somebody else.
Yeah, but that presupposes and assumes you've got to be pretty damn confident to think that Brad Pitt would want to have sex with you. Yeah.
No, but don't, Mark. You always go too deep into things.
No.
Don't ask
I'm not going
stupid
deep
questions.
at all. No, my point here is this. Hang on.
We don't want the point.
But
the point's going to go too far into it.
No, it's not going.
As simple
the last
as
thing
this.
I'm doing is going too far into it.
Some people close their eyes and pretend the person they're having sex with is somebody else.
But
That's
but the reason I could never do that is I'd be thinking I'm not good enough for them. I wouldn't want to have sex. I'd be going through the whole kind of machinations of self-esteem, self-worth.
Yeah, but the person isn't there.
Of course
so you
they're
don't
not.
Need to
How
have
does that work for them?
Oh, Mark, shut up. They're saying to you, Mark, it's a fantasy.
But you don't understand it.
No, I don't not understand it. It's just like I couldn't understand it for myself.
Right.
I just wouldn't, because I'm like, well, it's not Brad Pitt. It's just, I couldn't, I suppose this is it. If I've got to imagine that the person I'm having sex with is somebody else, I'm not going to be wanting to have sex.
Case in point.
Because the person I'm wanting to have sex, part of why I want to have sex is because I want to have sex with the person I'm having sex with.
Fantastic.
So, if I'm just having it functionally and sticking a different head on, it's weird. For me, it wouldn't work.
But sticking a different head on is sometimes the thrill for some, isn't it? That in itself is... Anyway, you can see Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal's on-screen relationship and All of Us Strangers, praised by viewers. It makes sense why he would be interested in the romance of stories. I know what you mean. Rivers run deep for him.
So who would you have as the voice, if you could, guys?
I think this is a bit Mills and Boon, isn't it? Is this the soft
Well, we don't know
end?
because we've not heard it one. We're going to listen to a bit of one before we do the podcast, aren't we?
I wonder if they use sound effects. Because
Mark.
because one of the...
Don't be disgusted.
I'm not at all. I'm thinking about this 360 degrees. And in a 360...
I'm not doing this podcast today. We're doing something else.
And in a 360-degree fashion,
you have to keep
if
your
you
kitchen
want, do you want
tidy.
authenticity? If you want... But sounds of sex sometimes destroy romance.
They are not going to have a sounds. What are you expecting? Fanny farts?
I didn't say anything about
Yeah, because
fanny
we know
farts.
that's what you think.
No, I wasn't. I was thinking like, ooh, ah.
Of course they're going to have moans, but they're not going to have sound effects.
This is such an ick, says Zoe. Oh, there you go. Well, Angela Rayner. I'd have Angela Rayner, says Lee
Judy
Durham.
Love. Oh, I'll have to tell Judy that, daughter. She has got a very sexy voice.
Sarah D. Matthew McConaughey all day long would be my first choice. You
I
could just
can't
say hello
understand
and
the
I'd
bloody
melt.
word he says.
I know. Don't need
I mean,
to, though, do you?
literally, when I watch Matthew McConaughey. Oh, no, sorry, I've got the wrong one.
Who are you thinking of?
Who's really...
Matthew McConaughey is the one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
True Detective.
Yeah, sorry. I was
Can't
thinking of the
understand.
other one in...
Gemma Perry, Jamie Dornan. That's quite a good...
Well, he did 25 Shades of Grey, didn't he?
Didn't work for you, that film, did it? See, I don't know. I think...
Fell asleep. It was so unbelievable.
It's an interesting conversation, which we're going to carry on under
Brad
a different
Pitt,
roof.
says Sonia.
Idris
Who
Elba,
else?
Rachel Vincent.
What about
Idris
women?
Elba.
Who would the women be?
See, I don't think as many men will sign up to this. I think men are driven by the optic nerve,
Apparently
whereas
they've
women
got
are driven by
50-50.
the oral nerve, as in AURAL. Oral.
So you're driven by the optic nerve. Have you never liked erotica?
I remember once nicking a book from a bookshop because it was in an erotica sort of section, and it was so boring.
Why? Because the story in between was rubbish.
was just so boring. It was just flat. It was just
God,
done
when I was
interesting.
growing up, I loved a Jackie Collins book.
Oh, what about the Jilly Cooper one?
I always used
With
to
the
tear
width
off
and the bottom.
Yeah, I always used to tear off the front of my book when I was going on holiday, so
Did
nobody
you?
could see I was reading.
Did you?
Jackie. I did. Paperback, just tear off the front page.
I always remember a Jackie Collins book.
So it could look like it was
Right.
It's actually Pride and Prejudice.
I remember a Jackie Collins book being passed around the class, and there was literally a dirt line where the fingers had just gone to the certain pages.
Why do you always make everything sound disgusting?
Because it was sweet. It was the 70s, 80s. You just wear just dirty thumbprints meant that the book kind of fell
Why
open.
did people have dirty thumbs in the 80s?
Because we were kids. Grubbing away at school.
Oh, quite a few people saying The Weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he would.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth, April Hill. Nice. Yeah, he's got a nice voice. I like it when Chris Hemsworth winks. He's got a great wink.
Just trying to think who I think's got a gorgeous voice. I was very surprised by Chris Hemsworth's voice when I saw it.
I prefer real life to imaginary, says Zoe.
I didn't realise that he talks like Thor all the time. We said this last week. He talks like that.
I think
what came first, Thor or Chris Hemsworth?
I think he's got lost slightly in the mighty Thor.
He has got a bit lost.
Yeah, even in Furiosa, no amount of prosthetic nose could fully ditch the mighty Thor. Oh, Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy just has a different voice for everything he does.
Everyone loves Tom Hardy.
Yeah, but he's squeaky voice in this new The Bike Riders. What is wrong with him? Why does he have
What
to?
about Richard Burton's voice was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was nice actually. Yeah, you're right.
Paul Newman.
Okay, all right. Well, on that note, we better go because she's getting off on this.
Do you know what? I've just realised. I've never heard Erotica.
Let's do it. Why don't we hear it? Why don't you hear it for the first time on how to
reading it, but I've not heard it, so I don't know if I'm going to like it or whether I'm going to get exactly the same feeling I used to get.
When?
No, I'm not saying nothing.
You used to get when more?
Nothing.
Get the same feeling that you used to get when more?
Save it for the podcast.
You don't know if, did you say you don't know if you're going to like it or?
I don't know.
Oh, who thinks I should play her some for the first time, like a social experiment in the next How to Stay Married?
That's what we're doing next after this, isn't it? We're recording.
Boom, boom. Okay, guys.
Boom, boom.
Thank you again, Stacey Randall. Incredibly kind.
Thank you, Stacey.
Yeah.
Stacey has gifted more
memberships. Guys, have a lovely day. Content will be landing again later. And yes, definitely. Yeah, you might just cringe or whatever it is the other thing she was going to say. All right, guys, have a lovely day. See you later.